CSD for short, because that's so much easier. The Clean Energy Ministerial, or CEM, as it's known to its friends, is a partnership of 24 countries working together with the European Commission to accelerate the global transition to clean energy. The forum does a lot of things. It hosts annual ministerial meetings, and it conducts year-round initiatives and campaigns, all with the goal of helping countries to implement the policies and solutions that speed the deployment of clean energy technologies that are already available. Post-Paris, of course, and in light of very recent world events, this work is more important than ever. So over the next hour, you're going to hear from speakers representing countries from all around the world about how CEM is helping them to implement their NDCs and showcasing the resources, tools and support that all countries can access through the platform, whether they're a CEM member or not. For the first discussion this evening, we're welcoming ministers who are going to highlight early action. Let me begin by welcoming the moderator to the stage, the US Secretary of Energy, Dr. Ernest Moniz. Thank you very much, Dr. Moniz. He's joined by Lars Christian Lilleholt, the Minister of Energy, Utilities and Climate from Denmark. Please also welcome McKenna, the Canadian Minister of Environment and Climate. I love the woohoos in the audience, that's fantastic. And Dominique Ristori, the Director General for Energy at the European Commission. I'd also like to welcome Khalid al-Falih, Minister of Energy, Industry and Mineral Resources from Saudi Arabia. And we'll also be joined a little bit later by Josh Frydenberg, the Australian Minister for the Environment and Energy, who'll join us when he can. So Secretary Moniz, as the moderator, it's my pleasure to hand to you.
Well, thank you. I'm going to make some opening remarks, and then we'll have comments. We're just getting a little physical up here now. It's late in the day, you know, so. I'll make a few remarks, and then we'll be posing some questions for response to the panelists. Obviously, as is well known here. We're now a year after Paris, and with an amazing 105 countries having ratified the Paris Agreement. I think it's really surprising, at least very, very large number of us. And of course, as we've said in many contexts, that means we are now moving to the implementation phase, the phase in which we all will be addressing our NDCs and looking for the solutions to get there as rapidly and as economically as we can. In terms of the economics, a very important feature, of course, is that with the world really moving towards this low-carbon future, we are seeing now, and we will see an acceleration of really multi-trillion-dollar markets in clean energy developing. And we just saw last week, I mentioned this earlier in a different context, that the International Finance Corporation of the World Bank Group, for example, has estimated, they say conservatively estimated, a $23 trillion investment requirement just in 21 emerging economies up to 2030. Now, when we add the rest of the world, and we maybe don't underestimate, we can see that that not only are we on the pathway that we need to be on for low carbon to mitigate climate impacts, minimize our adaptation requirements, but this is also enormous business, frankly, that go forward. Now, in developing better solutions, earlier today, some of you were here, some of my colleagues we were together as well in discussing the innovation component of our program, really looking at the R&D drivers, the R&D drivers that can lead to transformative solutions, particularly as we look down the road at the need for very deep decarbonization. But of course, we can't forget the trajectory that we have to be on now to meet our Paris commitments and to get on the pathway to that deep decarbonization. And that really is, in many ways, the mission of the Clean Energy Ministerial, or CEM, that we are here to discuss now. That is, the mission really is about accelerating the deployment of clean energy solutions over this next period in which we implement our NDCs. Now, as already stated, CEM, the Clean Energy Ministerial, is a group of 24 countries plus the EU. There is significant overlap with the mission innovation countries that many of you listened to today, but somewhat distinct as well, and certainly distinct objectives. But I want to say this group of 24 countries, and we do want to note our most recent member was Chile, but this group of countries accounts for about 90% of the clean energy investments and about 75% of the greenhouse gas emissions globally. So basically, if this group of countries can accelerate the clean energy deployment, obviously this changes the trajectory really for the entire world. So again, earlier today we were discussing the R&D role, mission innovation, but now we want to talk about, again, the Clean Energy Ministerial deployment mission, and there I think we always think of this as kind of this virtuous cycle of deployment, cost and cost reduction. Of course, that cost reduction is driven somewhat by innovation and somewhat by the increased markets that come from deployment. The CEM is an established platform. It's been helping countries now for some years take action, implementing policies and solutions, again, to speed deployment of technologies that we have available today and that are more affordable than ever, again, largely driven, or to a great extent driven, by the increased deployment. So the value of CEM is really in bringing tools and resources for meeting our goals, bringing those tools and resources to the CEM countries, but also beyond the CEM countries. That is, the CEM initiatives and campaigns are led by CEM members, but they are open to any country to take part. And we have many non-CEM members who, in fact, are very active participants in these campaigns. Now, others will talk about some of the results of CEM, but I'm going to just mention a few. The Clean Energy Solutions Center is a CEM creation. It's really one of the most successful initiatives. It's a web-based tool. It brings knowledge and expert assistance to help governments develop and deploy effective clean energy policies and programs. It has an Ask an Expert service, and through that it has already provided more than 90 countries with no-cost expert policy assistance to help advance clean energy programs. And I should note that nearly a third of the Ask an Expert requests have come from Africa, and typically not members of the CEM, but taking advantage of this. Another success story is the CEM Global Lighting Challenge, which was launched at our 6th ministerial in 2015. And the idea was kind of a race to 10 billion LEDs, efficient lighting fixtures, and over 8 billion products have already been pledged in this. Here in Marrakesh, we are announcing an expanded focus on Africa and inviting African countries to join this global lighting challenge. Welcome, Josh. And speaking of energy access, I want to highlight the CEM's Global Lighting and Energy Access Partnership initiative and the Energy for Efficiency for Access Year of Action. That was launched at COP21 in partnership with Sustainable Energy for All. Over the past year, Italy, the UK, and the United States, and other partners have raised over $11 million to support the development and deployment of super efficient technologies that are crucial to achieving universal energy access across the globe. Building on the success of off-grid LED lighting, Global Leap is helping drive the emergence of highly efficient televisions, refrigerators, irrigation pumps, and other products that can be used by off-grid clean energy sources in rural and remote areas, particularly across sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. Global Leap has just announced a new partnership with the Rockefeller Foundation to deploy these super efficient appliances through the foundation's $75 million mini-grid project in India. I also want to highlight a SEM initiative that I've personally focused on significantly, both before and now during my tenure at DOE, and that's called C3E, the Clean Energy Education and Empowerment Initiative, which works to create role models and champions for women in meeting the climate challenge, raise the visibility of emerging leaders, and build a global network of women leaders in clean energy. There are three key components in our U.S. C3E program. Distinguished ambassadors, not all of whom are women. They are professionals and serve as role models and advocates for women in clean energy. An annual event that brings together more than 200 participants, and an awards program in which we have recognized 37 mid-career women in clean energy. Internationally, we have ambassadors named from a number of SEM countries, and we've launched an online community that enables women from around the world to connect. I'd like to issue a call to action to all of our international colleagues to help raise the profile, raise the visibility of this initiative for women in clean energy, and thereby encourage a larger cadre of women to come in and to become leaders in our field. Finally, let me mention an organizational development that can help us sustain our efforts to accelerate clean energy deployment. One of the important decisions made by ministers at SEM 7, which occurred in June in San Francisco, was to transition the SEM Secretariat to the International Energy Agency. This allows us to help institutionalize the Secretariat, provide more robust support for international collaboration, and to have a truly multilateralized body serving in that role. I want to recognize the SEM members that have so far provided funding and in-kind support for this new Secretariat. It includes Canada, China, Denmark, European Commission, Finland, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Norway, Sweden, and the United States. We will pass a hat later on for additional contributions from all of you to help support the Secretariat for the next 3 years. But the SEM really has a strong track record. Again, the establishing the Executive Secretariat under the IEA umbrella, we think will just help to expand this on this road from Paris that we are all engaged on in meeting our goals and challenges. So that gives you, hopefully, for those of you less familiar with SEM, an idea about what this group of countries has been doing, is planning to do, and is planning to do it for quite a while as we all meet our NDC goals. So with that, I'm going to pose just very brief questions to members of the panel, who will then describe more about what they are doing with SEM. And I'm going to start with Mr. Lilleholt, and asking you to highlight the role of SEM campaigns in driving action and reaching the goals of our NDCs.
Thank you, Moniz. Thank you, Moniz. Your Excellencies, leaders from the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, I believe SEM can play a useful role as a megaphone to the world and on the potential of clean energy transformation. This can help increase the ambition of the NDCs in the future. The campaigns give SEM great value added for international clean energy architecture. SEM include all big economics and green frontrunner countries. Together we represent about 75% of global emissions and 90% of global energy investments. With the campaigns, global best practice can be identified and communicated outwards. Denmark leads the work in the corporate sourcing campaign with Germany. The focus is to break down barriers for corporate actors that want to use clean energy for production processes. Many companies have made solid commitments in Paris. This can play a key role to scale up the NDCs. SEM can make a difference on these subjects. Firstly, the campaign has support from many SEM countries, global organizations, and a number of big corporations such as Apple, Google, and Facebook. Secondly, I think the campaign is a very good example of the added value of SEM globally. The campaign will try to overcome the barriers from corporate sourcing. A key part of this is to identify best practice. Therefore, I hope that governments and companies will share their experience in the country and corporate survive. That arena will send out following COP22. In conclusion, I hope this SEM campaign can play a key role in unlocking the potential of companies to make the global NDCs stronger. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and again, also thank Denmark for many important contributions to SEM and other clean energy initiatives. I'm going to turn to my friend, Mr. al-Falih, and we're going out of order. And Saudi Arabia, actually the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is not as recent a member as Chile, but is, I think, the next most recent member, if I recall correctly.
2015.
That's right. And in joining SEM, Saudi Arabia stepped forward to take a role in the cooling challenge. I'd like you, perhaps you could discuss that and other participation in SEM initiatives.
Well, thank you, Secretary Moniz. You, Josh, and I have been. I was saying that Secretary Moniz, Josh, and I have been on 4 different panels and discussions. On our first day here, I think he's going to be happy when the day is over. But you never know, I may show up in your dream tonight, also. But
well, why should tonight be different?
But we truly are partners outside, here in the COP22. Saudi Arabia and the US are strong partners on many fronts, including in the areas of energy and climate, R&D, collaboration, and even in our prior lives, Secretary Moniz and I had the chance to collaborate around energy and the environment when he was leading the MIT Energy Initiative, which I, as the CEO of Saudi Aramco at that time, were proud to be a founding member of. We're happy to join SEM, and as we discussed today, we're also a founding member of Mission Innovation, which Secretary Moniz kicked off last year in Paris, and as he said in his opening remarks, that's more long-term, while SEM is about deployment of existing technologies, and it's about really attempting not attempting, but being determined to meet our NDCs through the available technologies and scale deployment of what's available, sharing best practices, technology transfer and capability building across the member countries. Saudi Arabia is participating in a number of SEM initiatives. The Super Efficient Equipment and Appliance Deployment Initiative is one. The Energy Management Working Group is another. The Global Lighting and Energy Access Partnership, Global LEAP, and the Multilateral Solar and Wind Initiative is another one. And of course, as Ernie said, in June, Saudi Arabia and 4 other countries formed another working group addressing the AC Challenge campaign. And rightly so, Saudi Arabia, probably more than any other country, is hugely interested in making transformative advancements, as well as whatever incremental gains can be achieved in optimizing air conditioning around technology and deployment. To give you an indication, 70% of electricity demand in Saudi Arabia goes to air conditioning. And as a result, peak demand in the summer is twice that of the winter. And you can only imagine the tremendous cost that we incur of having idle electricity capacity sitting unutilized, or just for the air conditioning. The global campaign for AC Challenge challenges governments, companies, and other stakeholders to develop and deploy at scale super efficient, smart, climate-friendly, and affordable cooling technologies that are so critical for prosperous and healthy societies. And of course, with climate change and global warming, even countries that didn't traditionally require air conditioning are today retrofitting homes and offices with air conditioners. In Saudi Arabia, we're implementing energy efficiency standards and labeling for air conditioners, and in fact, last year, we probably had one of the biggest global occurrences of confiscating and destroying tens of thousands of AC units that didn't meet the new standards that were introduced. Globally, we're working within the AC Challenge to develop a global advanced cooling database to enable users to find and track financial and technical data from the world's fastest growing markets and top performing models that are fit for purpose for different climates and different situations. Another challenge, which I know is very near and dear to you, Ernie, and you've been calling me every now and then about it, is developing the right refrigerant, the right cooling agent that would be safe and environmentally sound, particularly for high ambient temperature areas like the Arabian Peninsula and GCC. And as you all are aware, the Kigali HFC amendment to the Montreal Protocol requires us to find that solution and find it fast, and we're already hard at work at it, and this is something that we probably should add to mission innovation as a track that we could work with others on it. And by developing such tools and calling on other governments and businesses to join the Advanced Cooling Challenge and make their own commitments, we are working to accelerate the global pace of improving energy efficiency in air conditioners. Just some, before I conclude, improving the average efficiency of air conditioners expected to be sold in 2030 by 30%, which is very achievable, could reduce emissions by up to 25 billion metric tons of CO2 over the lifetime of the equipment that will be installed that year, and reduce the peak electricity demand by as much as 340 to 800 gigawatts. So the prize is really worth the effort. This is equal to erasing the annual emissions from 1,550 coal-fired power plants. And in closing, let me just reiterate what Secretary Moniz said, that SEM initiatives and campaigns provide an opportunity for parties to advance in implementing their obligations and NDCs committed to in the Paris Agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Khalid. And another metric for the cooling, the importance of the cooling challenge is also in the context of the Kigali Amendment that we are talking there about a 0.5 degree centigrade rise without addressing the cooling challenge. So it's a very, very, very big deal.